So let's start today's session. So let's have a recap. In the last class, we have gone through the definition of technical writing. What is technical writing? We have seen what is the significance of technical writing, and also we have gone through various kinds of technical documents. Right? Now, today we are going to extend our discussion in which we are going to discuss about the steps those we need to follow to come up with an effective technical document. So we are going to look at 5 important steps to successful writing. In fact, successful writing is the result of knowing how to structure the information using both text as well as design to achieve an intended purpose for a clearly defined audience. I would like to emphasize these two: intended purpose and clearly defined audience. So we are writing a document for some intended purpose, and that too for a clearly defined audience. To write effective document, we need to follow several steps, and these steps are listed over here. So see here, we have shown these steps, 5 steps. Those we need to follow for effective or successful writing. Number 1, it is preparation. Second, research. Third, organization. Fourth, writing. And fifth is the revision. So these are 5 important steps, those we need to follow. But let me tell you that these steps need to be followed systematically. These steps are interrelated, and many times these steps are overlapped. For example, you are going to determine the needs of your reader and the purpose of your document in this first step of preparation, right? But determining the reader's needs and the purpose will affect the decisions those you are going to make in all those subsequent steps. Sometimes you may need to retrace the steps. So it is not always the case that you follow the first step, that is preparation, go to the second step, that is research, and so on in the same sequence. But it is not always the case. The sequence we are going to follow. But many times it happens that whenever you go for research, you come across lots of literature or lots of material. And after reading that or after going through that, you may realize that you need to revise your initial understanding of the document's purpose and the audience. So whenever you go with the material under research, so after researching, you may once again revisit the first step, that is preparation, and you may need to modify your purpose, or you may need to have some additional consideration to identify your audience. So it may happen. Similarly, whenever you begin organizing your report or your document, you may discover the need to once again return to this step, that is research, to gather some more information that is actually required for organizing the information, right? So many times it happens that even though you are following these steps, many times depending upon the need, you need to go back, you need to retrace these steps, right? Also, one more important point that I would like to convey is the time required for each step varies with different writing tasks. What it means? Say for example, we have gone through different kinds of documents in the last class. So we mentioned lots of documents. For example, we have discussed the end user instructions or manuals document, technical reports, feasibility studies, policies and procedures documents, business plans, white papers, research documents, and so on. So, whatever may be the type of task that you are undergoing, you need to follow these steps, but the time required may differ depending on the task, right? So in short, these 5 steps may expand, contract, and at several times these steps need to be repeated to fit the complexity or the context of the writing task that you are carrying out. Okay, many times it happens that you need to divide the writing process into steps like this because of collaborative writing. So usually whenever you work in teams, you are carrying out the collaborative work, right? So whenever you are working in teams, you need to divide the writing process also into these steps, and you may assign certain tasks to certain team members. So divide the work among the team members, and then the leader may keep track of the project, and this is because it saves the time. So as you are working in teams, division of work will help the team members, individual team members, to work on specific tasks independently or once again in small teams, so that the repeated efforts will not be there. So duplicated work will not be there. So these tasks are being assigned to certain teams, and that team or an individual will work on that particular task, and then you may compile everything to come up with the final report, right? So this is known as collaborative writing. So many times whenever you are working in teams, you need to carry out such kind of collaborative writing. Okay, So I hope you must have understood at least what are those steps and how to work with these steps. Now we are going to look at each and every step and whatever are the tasks, those we need to perform under all those steps one by one, right? So let's begin with the very first step, and that is preparation. So whatever may be the task that we are undergoing, we need to have some kind of preparation before we start working on that task. Similar is the case for technical writing. So if we would like to start writing some technical document, it requires strong preparation. So in preparation, we need to undergo certain major tasks. What are those tasks? We are going to list out these tasks and we are going to understand how to perform those tasks. So, task number 1, establish your purpose. So, before actually start writing any technical document, we need to prepare. In the sense, we need to first establish our primary purpose. Why we are writing this, right? What is the purpose of writing this document, right? So establish your primary purpose. To do that, we need to ask few questions, right? So you are supposed to ask these questions to yourself. Say for example, you need to ask what you want your readers to know. So why you are writing this document? Because somebody is going to read that. So what you want your readers to know after reading this document? Or you may ask what you want your readers to believe after reading this document. That is the question you may ask yourself and seek the answers to these questions. Another question is like what your readers will be able to do after reading your document. So this question will precisely come up with the outcome of your document. So whatever is the task that we are performing, we should have some outcome of that, right? So whenever we are writing something, that document should have some outcome. So what your readers will be able to do, what your readers will be able to achieve after reading your document, that is one more question that you need to answer. So whatever are the answers to these questions, that will form your primary purpose. Right? Are you getting me?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So, to make you understand more how to write the primary purpose, let me give you one example. So, let us assume that you are working in one company, right? And now that company wants to establish few research facilities at various locations around the globe. And you are one of the members in the team. And you have been assigned the task to come up with a technical report that will focus upon the possible locations for new research facilities of the company. Right? So this is the task that is assigned to you. Okay? Now, if this is the task assigned to you, ultimately, you need to come up with a technical document that needs to be presented to maybe the top management of your company. Right? So you need to come up with a technical document that you are supposed to submit or present to your top management. Okay? So to prepare such kind of a technical document, to begin with, you need to first establish your primary purpose. Why you are writing this document and what you want your readers to know. Right? Or what your readers will be able to do after reading your document. Okay? So, to answer these questions and to come up with a primary purpose, we may write a purpose like this. So this is one example how we can write the primary purpose for this problem. Okay? So I may write the purpose like to report on possible locations for a new facility or for a new research facility. Okay, so the purpose we may write is like to report on possible locations for a new research facility. This is the purpose for our document. Now, I am going to write one more statement like to compare the relative advantages of Paris, Singapore, and San Francisco as possible locations for a new research facility, so that top management can choose the best one or the best location. Right? So these two are two statements for our primary purpose. Both are actually valid statements. Right? First says that to report on possible locations for a new research facility, and second says precisely to compare the relative advantages of Paris, Singapore and San Francisco as possible locations for a new research facility, so that the top management can select the best location. If we compare these two statements, the first statement is too general. Right? So this statement is too general. Nothing specific is being mentioned into this. In the second statement, we already are mentioning in the purpose statement itself that we have shortlisted 3 cities, and this is the report to compare the relative advantages of these 3 possible locations to establish the new research facility. Right? Even though we are writing this kind of a purpose, we are mentioning or we are providing the information related to these 3 cities only. But as this is a very generic statement, one may prefer to use more specific purpose instead of going with a generic purpose to compare the relative advantages of Paris, Singapore and San Francisco as possible locations for a new research facility. Right? So sometimes such kind of a specific purpose may be more accepted because this purpose statement can guide you throughout the writing process. Right? So sometimes we may select such kind of a specific purpose instead of going with a generic purpose. Now, in addition to the primary purpose, sometimes we may come up with a secondary purpose as well. Secondary purpose. So what we mean by secondary purpose? So under secondary purpose, we are going to mention some other additional purposes for which this document is meant for. For example, for the same problem or the same task under consideration, for the research facilities report, the secondary purpose might be to make corporate executive readers aware of the staffing needs. Right? So this might be the secondary purpose for this report. We are finding out the appropriate location for research facility, and also the secondary purpose would be we need to also identify the staffing needs at that locations, right? So that might be the secondary purpose that we may come up with, right? So we may write the secondary purpose as to make corporate executive readers aware of the staffing needs of the new facility so that they can ensure the smooth operation of the new establishment. Right? So that might be my secondary purpose. So under preparation, the very first task that we need to undergo is properly establishing our purpose. Why we are writing this document and what our readers actually want out of this document and what they will be able to do after reading this document. So the top management will be able to select the best location for new research facility. They will be able to appropriately find out the staffing needs for smooth operation of the facility, right? So this is how we need to establish our primary purpose, right? Am I clear? Any doubt with this? Yes?
No doubt, ma'am.
Fine. So let's proceed now with the next task that we are going to undergo under preparation. Identify your audience or readers. Identify your audience or readers. So now you have established your purpose for the technical document, and now you need to identify clearly your audience who is going to read your document, right? So once again you need to answer few questions. Who exactly is your reader? Do you have multiple readers? Multiple readers meaning, do you have the readers from several different categories or same kinds of readers, or readers belonging to different categories, different designations, you may say, different roles in the company. Okay, now who needs readers with respect to your subject? What do your readers already know about the subject? What your readers already know and what they don't know? Are you communicating with international readers? So all these are the questions those you need to think of while assessing or identifying your audience. So if you are very clear about who is going to read your document, then it would be better to structure your information accordingly. And that is why this is really very important to understand your audience, to know who is going to read that. Now once again, coming back to our example of research facilities report. Right? Let us try to identify who is going to read our report of research facilities. Okay? So, if you are going to write the research facilities report, then who are the possible readers? Maybe the top management of the company is going to read your report, right? Now, whenever we say top management, whether only one person is going to review that report or whether more than one people are there in the top management. If more than one person is going to review your report, then we need to identify who are those people, what are their roles, and what they are interested to know, what they are interested in finding out from your report. Now, in our research facilities report, whenever we are saying that this report is meant for top management, meaning this team may include HR manager, this team may include purchase manager, this team may have marketing manager, this team will also include the chief financial manager, this team will also include definitely the CEO of the company or the chief executive officer of the company, right? So these are various readers. So these are the categories of the readers who are going to read this particular report. So obviously all these different people will have their own needs from your report. So for example, if we consider HR manager who is going to read this report, then what would be the need of HR manager? Yes, the HR manager may likely be interested in the availability of the qualified professionals. The person HR manager is more interested in knowing whether whatever is the selected location, whether the qualified professionals as per the requirement are available. He or she will also be concerned with the aspects about their housing needs, some recreational facilities available at that place, right? Because HR managers are always concerned with the employees. So they always will think of these issues, whether the professionals, required professionals are available at the location, what about their housing needs, what about the recreational facilities available at the location. So these are the interests of the HR manager. If we think of purchase manager, then the purchase manager would be concerned about available sources for materials. Those are required by the facility. The purchase manager is always interested in procurement of the necessary stuff, right? So whatever is the raw material or whatever is the material required, the purchase manager will think of the availability of the sources for that material, right? If we think of marketing manager, then what would be the concern of marketing manager? The marketing manager would give priority to the facilities proximity to the primary market. So how far the location is from the primary market, he or she might be more interested in that. He or she might be interested in the transportation options. Those are available with that location, right? So these are the needs of marketing manager. What about chief financial manager? Chief financial manager would always want to know about, say, land and building cost, other expenses those might incur whenever the particular location is being selected. Also, chief financial manager would be more interested in knowing about the tax structure of the country. So if you are selecting Paris, then whatever is the tax structure of that country. If you are selecting Singapore, then what is the tax structure of that country? So chief financial manager would always think of the financial aspects of that location. Whereas if CEO is one of the readers, perhaps the chief executive officer would be interested in knowing all these aspects and even more, right? So once you have identified that these are probable readers of your document, then whatever are the needs of all those readers, you need to answer. You need to address all those needs through your document, right? And that is the need of identifying your audience first, because based on the audience types of readers, you need to provide the information in your report or in your document. Is that clear? Yes? Shall I proceed?
Yes.
Shall I proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. Now, see the next task that we should consider. So we should consider the context of writing. We should consider the context of writing. So what is context? Environment or circumstances in which writers produce the documents and within which readers interpret their meaning. I'll repeat, context is the environment or circumstances in which writers produce the documents and within which readers interpret their meanings. Say for example, to elaborate this concept, once again let us refer to our research facilities report. So to determine the effect of context on the research facilities report, you might ask specific and general questions about the situation and about your readers' backgrounds. Say for example, you need to ask the questions like, is this the company's first new facility? Is this the company's first new facility, or has the company chosen locations earlier in the past? That is the first question that you may ask. So depending upon the answer to this question, the context is determined. So considering the context, so if already the company is having the facilities in the past, right, and if the company is for the very first time creating the new facility, the context is different and accordingly the information that you are supposed to write in your document is different. One more question that you may think of is like, is this the company's or whether the readers have visited the identified cities or identified locations earlier, whether the readers are aware of these locations those you have identified, whether the readers have already seen the reports on these identified cities, what is the corporate culture in which your readers work. So all these questions are actually important for considering the context with respect to this problem. So depending upon the context, you need to determine the content. You need to determine the information that you are going to provide in your report. Right? So that is what we mean by context. The next step that we need to follow, or rather the next task that we need to come up with under preparation, is determining the scope of coverage. So this is really very important step. So whenever you write any document, you need to understand, you need to determine the scope. So once you have understood the purpose, once you know the audience and the context, this will help you to decide what to include and what not to include in your report or in your writing. So, all the earlier decisions those you have made will enable you to determine your scope of writing. If you do not clearly define the scope, then unnecessarily you will spend lots of time in researching the things those actually you may not need. Right? So it is really very important to understand, to determine the scope, what you are supposed to include and what you are not supposed to include in your report. Once again, referring to our running example, given the purpose and the audience for the report on facility locations, the scope would include the information like land and building cost, available workforce, cultural issues, transportation options, and proximity to the suppliers. So these points need to be included in our scope. So information related to these points need to be provided. And this scope is determined because we are having various readers. Those are interested in this information, right? So we are limiting our scope to this information because we know who is going to read that particular report. At the same time, we need not include the history of the city that is being considered, or the climate, or maybe the geological features of that location. No need actually to include that information because the readers may not be interested in that information, right? So while preparing our document or while preparing to write our document, we need to consider the scope of our writing, right? What to include and what not to include. And finally, we need to appropriately select the medium. So we may have lots of mediums for communication. We may have email, fax, voicemail, video conferencing, websites, memos, telephone calls, face-to-face meetings, or long reports. So which medium is best suitable for the given writing task that we need to identify? So for example, once again, the most important consideration in selecting the appropriate medium are the audience and the purpose of communication. For example, if you need to collaborate with some person to solve some problem, right? Or if you need to establish good rapport with somebody in your company or maybe outside the company, then instead of written communication, it would be better to have a phone call. It would be better to organize face-to-face meetings so that you can establish good rapport with the person or the team. However, if you need to have precise wording or if you need to provide a record of some complex task, then preferably you need to communicate in writing. So maybe you need to select the medium for communication as the technical report, right? So depending upon the purpose and once again the audience and the type of communication that you would like to establish with the target audience, you are supposed to select the appropriate medium for communication. Right? Sometimes it may happen that you need to write some technical stuff and you need to communicate it to all the staff, all the employees of the company, right? And frequently that content is going to change according to the needs. Then the better communication medium would be posting such documents onto the company's intranet site so that all the employees will have access to that, and frequent revisions are also possible, right? So depending upon the nature of the task, you are supposed to select the appropriate medium, right? So these are 5 important tasks, those we should consider before writing the report or before writing any technical document. So these steps are actually included in preparation, right? So once you come up with everything, you say that you are prepared now to write a technical document, and then you will proceed for the next step, that is research. So I hope you must have understood the significance of all those tasks, and whenever you undergo any kind of writing, you need to systematically follow these procedures so that you can come up with effective document that would be appreciated by the intended audience, right? If you have any doubt, please let me know. If you don't have any doubts, then we are going to conclude our session today, and we are going to continue our discussion with respect to remaining steps in the next session. And thank you.